Hey everyone, Shin here. So, those of you who have visited the stream lately know my frustrations with the state of warrior balance and trying to find a working Berserker build, and how many builds I've tried and failed to have work out and whatnot. But I do have some good news for you. After all of the stuff I've tried out, after all of the failures I've had with experiments and whatnot, the culmination of all that, I have found a successfully working Berserker build, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Now, just to be blunt, this isn't going to suddenly make Berserker amazing. This isn't going to suddenly fix all of the warrior problems we have right now with balance and whatnot. But it will at least let you play a Berserker and be effective and contribute to a conquest match without feeling like you're a liability. Alright, starting out with the gearing, this is a sword, mace, torch build. The sigils in the sword are going to be geomancy and hydromancy, and the sigils in the mace and torch are going to be smoldering and energy. For your rune, you're going to want to be using Runes of the Crate. And for your amulet, this uses the Celestial Amulet. For your utilities, you're going to want to go with Healing Signet, Outrage, Berserker Stance, Shake It Off, and Headbutt. For your traits, this build uses Discipline, Defense, and Berserker. Up in Discipline, you're going to want to take Warrior Sprint for general mobility and the ability to break and mobilize. You're going to want to take Browse Recovery for that extra condition clearing. And you're going to want to take Heightened Focus. This is going to help you with some of your condition application and some of the other damage things that I will go over later in the video. For your defense, you're going to want to take Dog March. This is going to give you a little bit of extra healing, and it's going to allow you to stick to targets better. You're going to want to take Defy Pain. This will, in general, just help keep you alive and help you sustain yourself a bit better. And then finally, you're going to want to take Rousing Resilience. This is where a majority of your sustain is going to come from on this build. This build has 3 stun breakers on short cooldowns, which means you're going to get this bonus, this trait activation, a lot. And again, I'll go over that a little bit later in this video. Then down in Berserker, you're going to want to take Smash Brawler. This is going to help you get more Primal Burst skills off, and it's going to help you go into Berserk mode more often, helping with the general playstyle of the build. You're going to want to take Heat the Soul. This is going to lower the cooldowns on your torch skills, allowing you to keep up the pressure gained from those skills and allow you to apply those conditions more often. And you're finally going to want to take Bloody Roar. This is going to allow you to secure some of your burst skills. This is going to allow you to control opponents a bit better, and it's going to allow you to apply even more conditions to your opponents. Alright, for the general playstyle of this build, you will have seen some gameplay footage in the background, but this build is based around moving between points very quickly, plus wanting fights, getting in there and applying a whole bunch of conditions very quickly to someone, and helping focus people down with just sheer condition spam. This build is designed to keep up the condition application to the point where most of your opponents can't clear them fast enough. It helps alleviate one of the problems with Berserker that I've had so far, which is low condition duration and not being able to keep conditions up because they get cleared or they fall off too quickly. This build allows you to throw on conditions very, very often and very quickly, thus keeping your opponent from clearing them too much and maintaining your overall damage in a fight. Some of the ways that this build can keep the condition application as high as it does: it has the Hydromancy and Geomancy sigils. When you swap to your swords, you're going to be doing this in melee, because this will allow you to apply those conditions very quickly and very often. You're going to want to be using your Headbutt very often, not just for the adrenaline generation and everything else that Headbutt gives you, but also because of the 6-piece bonus on Crate Runes. This will give you Poison, Torment, and Bleeding whenever you use Headbutt near someone. You don't even have to necessarily hit them to get those conditions on them. The rune set has a slightly bigger radius for that 6-piece bonus for application than Headbutt has range. So even if you miss Headbutt, you'll still have a likely chance that they will get those conditions on them, and then you'll be able to follow up with some other condition application. Other ways that you can apply conditions: you have Impale from the offhand sword, you have the counter from Riposte, which you'll need to use a lot for the block. You obviously have the Primal Burst skills. Also, you're going to want to be using things like the Torch skills, the Blaze Breaker, to apply a bunch of burning and cripple to someone right away. It's very good for chewing through things like Aegis and the shields on Guardians and Dragon Hunters. You're going to want to be using the Flames of War, the number 5 on Torch, as often as you can, not just for the fire field, but also for the condition clearing and the general utility that you have with having a fire field. You can turn that into a fire shield if you use Sword 2 on it. You can also throw Impale through that field for another stack of burning, in addition to the Torment and whatnot you can throw on there. Now, as far as staying alive with this build, you want to be taking advantage of rousing resilience as much as you can with this build. There's a lot of control flying around from other classes right now to where you can pretty much guarantee you will get controlled, you will get CC'd multiple times during a fight. It allows you to reliably keep yourself alive through stun breaking all of these control effects. The healing from rousing resilience is actually boosted by the healing power on Celestial Amulet, and it allows you to get roughly 2,800, a little over that, healing per stun break. And because Outrage, Shake It Off, and Headbutt all have such short cooldowns, you will have at least one of them available at any given time, allowing you to gain that extra 1,000 toughness and gain that 2,800 heal very reliably. You also want to be using the blocks you have on Offhand Sword 5 and on Mace number 2 to help mitigate some of the effects that you will otherwise not be able to deal with, such as a control effect that you don't have a stun breaker for, or if someone's going to hit you with, say, an Eviscerate or something that you can use as a clutch defensive mechanic. You want to be taking advantage of both of those as often as you can. The power damage on this build does still hit decently well because it is Celestial Amulet. The counter blow from Mace 2 does hurt a little bit. It will punish the opponent a fair amount for breaking that block and you hitting them in melee with it. You'll also want to be using Berserker Stance fairly often. You want to be using it when you know you're going to be hit with a lot of blinds or a lot of conditions. And while Berserker Stance is running, you will also gain a lot of adrenaline, which will allow you to access Berserker mode more quickly. It'll allow you to use Primal Burst skills very quickly and very often, and will allow you to keep up that pressure that this build needs to take advantage of. At any rate, that is the Berserker build that is the culmination of all of the testing that I've done over the past week or so, trying to find something that works in PvP, something that I can have fun with Berserker on and not feel like I'm a liability to my team. Hopefully those of you who try out the build will enjoy it. It's a ton of fun to play. I've been enjoying playing it and testing it, and it's just a relief to actually find something for my main's elite specialization that actually works and can contribute to the fights. I'm not moving away from Warrior as my main. I know a lot of you have probably heard of some bigger Warrior names in PvP scene moving away and re-rolling. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm sticking with Warrior, and this is what I've come up with in that stubbornness to not switch classes. So hopefully you enjoy the build. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next video or around the stream. Take care, everyone.